Without fail, every time I mention man-made climate change on my show, I'll get 1 or 2 comments from viewers that go something like this.
Global warming is a tool of the global elite to pass a carbon tax to enslave humanity, and when the lizards come...
Blah blah motherfucking blah. It might seem that I'm making fun of you, but I'm not. Well, maybe a little. But no one is born knowing everything. And I want y'all to know that I wish nothing but the best for my motherfucking viewers. So this is why I will take the next few minutes to debunk one of the claims that many of my viewers have made about climate change over the years. The notion that a global elite invented the problem of man-made climate change in order to institute a global carbon tax, therefore creating one world government, was popularized by the fat fucking radio talk show host Alex Jones. Now, before I mince this argument to shreds, let me set the record straight on Mr. Jones. Alex Jones is an irresponsible piece of shit and merchant of fear who has gotten rich by telling fairy tales to scared Americans and selling them useless pieces of metal as their salvation to the coming Armageddon. I've been hearing the global warming hoax and tax bit since the era of George W. Bush. Now, according to Jones and his ilk, Bush is part of the global elite through the lineage of his family and affiliations with the Skull and Bones fraternity. And to top it off, W's daddy repeatedly used the term New World Order. You with me so far? If you were paying attention during the reign of King George, you will know that W went farther than any other so-called elite to deny and silence anyone in his government who would sound the alarm on global warming. Just ask NASA scientist James Hansen.
After my talk at AGU, I was told that I had to have prior approval to speak to the media. And for a few days I followed that procedure, and they did disallow me to speak to National Public Radio, for example, and they sent a substitute instead of me.
Now, why would Bush try so hard to silence Hansen? Isn't global warming part of their big plan? Maybe Bush was fucking with us, you know, messing with our minds.
What are you doing, man? Sometimes that helps, man.
But that wasn't his style. That dumb motherfucker was pretty straightforward about what he wanted to do. Hook his buddies up in the oil and the military industries. Exxon and the oil lobby are the main funders of the anti-global warming disinformation campaign. And it's pretty obvious why. The crack that they push on us is the main producer of CO2, which has been attributed as the leading cause for carbon emissions. But anti-elite Alex Jones himself uses the same language as the Competitive Enterprise Institute, a think tank funded by Exxon that launched a campaign against global warming.
They claim that CO2, which plants breathe, was killing the earth.
And as for carbon dioxide, it isn't smog or smoke. It's what we breathe out and plants breathe in.
Well, fish breathe water, but I wouldn't want millions of gallons of it on my street. Know what I'm saying? By now you are probably thinking, what the fuck does this have to do with Obama? After all, he's the new puppet of the global elite. And indeed he is. But the reality is that taxing corporations for their carbon emissions is not good for business. And Obama is beholden to the coal lobby, who would lose big money if they had to pay for the CO2 they put into the atmosphere. So far under Obama, no carbon tax has been passed, and no deal is expected to go through during the Copenhagen talks this December. So it doesn't matter if they're Republicans or Democrats. Global warming is not convenient for them. Remember that the US took a big old shit on the Kyoto Protocol, and guess who the US sent to lead those talks? Mr. Global Warming himself, Al Gore. So what I'm saying is this. The world is not that simple, my fellow slaves. Yes, there are elites whose prime directive is more power and control, but trying to explain our dire state of affairs by blaming a few white men who meet in dark rooms is retarded. Thousands of scientists and experts have concluded that human-produced carbon emissions are warming the climate, and humans are destroying the planet by overfishing, polluting our rivers, lakes and oceans, cutting down the forests, mining for gold, and the list goes on. Yes, there are elites and they must be stopped, but we need to stop kidding ourselves and think that they are these almighty eyes in the sky that see and know everything. The elites I'm talking about look more like multinational corporations who control banks and the military, who destroy ecosystems in the name of profit, and who love more than anything to see us fight amongst ourselves. These corporations are made of human beings just like you and me, and they can be defeated. But the first step in destroying them is for us to stop being afraid. As I said before, our leaders have already failed to take action to save what's left of our planet. And we continue to obey them like good little servants. Now are we gonna go on like this, or are we going to ignite the global slave revolt? And that about does it for this edition of It's the End of the World as we know it and you feel fine. I'd like to thank the following slaves for their support in making this show happen. Jason, Christopher, Amber, Paolo, Fatima, Dorothy, Stephen, Cameron, Christopher, Flynn, Amanda, Stephen, Patrick, Rodney, Jeffrey, Justin, Will, Jose, Caleb, Christopher, Eduardo, Mark, Charlene, Robert, John, William, Matthew, Edwin, Nicholas, Samika, Gail, Alfonso, Gwyn, Vincent, and Charles. Protella. I also want to let you all know that my good friends over at the Dominion have released their yearly special edition. This time, it's all about the Olympics. Just go to dominionpaper.ca to find out how to get your copy. To comment on this show and for links to more climate change denier debunkers, just visit my fucking website, stimulator.tv. Now chill out.
Remember, kids, you can podcast high-quality video of this show at submedia.tv.